Assalamu alaikum, dear family. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Sister Kamira with Wisdom Over Rubies, and I'll be doing daily reading. The book that we're currently reading is The Black Woman, The Second Self of God by Nuri Muhammad. I thank you all for joining me. Please stay until the end. We will be brief, but we will be impactful. So, the section that we are currently reading today is called Control and Manipulation. So, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you. All right, so let's go. The value of a virtuous woman is more than the value of the wealth of the earth, but the female and the value of her as a virtuous woman has been devalued by the societies of the earth. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. The rulers of this world have absolute power and control over mainstream news media outlets, including ones who appear on the surface to be dedicated to our community. One way to find the root of things in this world is to follow the money. Follow the money stream, taking the time to look at the media's board of directors, the publishers of this minority magazine, this disenfranchised magazine, this African American journal, or this black so-and-so. We find that this minority, Africa America, disenfranchised and black, is not run by and definitely not for the disenfranchised. We must be critical thinkers and seriously evaluate which media outlets we utilize to gather our information, because many of them are controlled by our open enemy, what makes them unreliable sources of information. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, speaking to a group of students attending Chicago State University in 2012, stated, "He who gives you the diameter of your knowledge prescribes the circumference of your activity." This means that whoever teaches you, in fact, controls what you will do in the line of action or activity. Based on the law of mathematics, it is a fact that a circumference can never be extended broader than its diameter. We are indeed today a people with the diameter of 25, 30, or 100 feet or 50 yards of an activity level. Then, by the law of correspondence, all the man that controls or prescribes the diameter of our thinking has to do is to ensure that as a group we receive less in the line of knowledge, wisdom, understanding, or information than what we will be required to produce the circumference of activity that will put us in where we are striving to be or progress to. Black people have been voting, yet we have failed to gain complete and total freedom. Black people go to college and even graduate, yet we have been unsuccessful in our attempts to build a civilization. We have accumulated great financial wealth, but we have not built our own reality yet. Wakanda is real, but only in the Marvel universe. What this means is that we have been controlled by a diameter of thinking that is inferior to the circumference of activity we need to get where we are striving to ascend. So our minds say we want factories, but the diameter of thinking does not support this as a reality. Our minds say we want our own communities, but the diameter of our thinking does not direct our thinking to actually building our own communities. We say we want what we say what we want, so it's just it's a little messed up right here, but I'm going to keep going. We say what we want, but we deserve and what we wish for, but however, our enemy has given us the diameter of our thinking. Therefore, it is the enemy who controls the circumference of corresponding activity. When our enemy made a hard tactical and strategic evaluation of us as a community, the conclusion reached was that the systems of information transfer had to be controlled by them in order to ensure that the diameter of black man and woman's mind was kept on a certain level at all times. The greatest institution of information transfer in our community is in and by religion, because black people are naturally spiritual people. We are by nature righteous. We are other than righteous by circumstance. We are by nature born to bow down and submit our will to do the will of God. We are bowing down to mammon and man by circumstance. We are born by nature to know how to rear our children, born by nature to know how to father our sons, born by nature to know how to get married, how to stay married, born by nature to know what foods to eat, what times to eat those foods, how many calories we need. We are born like everything else is born with a nature that teaches us. We have become other than that by circumstance. How do we know we are other than our nature? Have you ever seen in a National Geographic special showing bees inside of their hive reading a book on how to make honey? You never see birds in a nest reading a book on how to fly, do you? You have never seen an ant in front of a computer surfing the net trying to figure out how to build a bigger mound. The knowledge of ant mound building is in the ant's nature. The knowledge of how to fly is in the nature of the bird. How to make honey is in the nature of the bee. What then would make us think Allah, God, would make the black man and woman the first people under the sun, the original inheritors and inhibitors of the planet, and not give us what he gave everything that came after us? By our very nature, as black men and women, we can make or become whatever we want to be or become. And that was the end of that chapter. And that was very, very powerful. That control and manipulation and the need for us to always verify the source of information that we get. And one of our most reliable sources is actually the Final Call newspaper. That is our number one minister in the Nation of Islam. And with that newspaper, we are able to know for certain and for a fact that anything that is put out in the Final Call newspaper is actual facts. It has been verified. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan reads every single edition of the Final Call newspaper to be sure that all the information in there is accurate. And we have a great staff there that ensures that every single week a Final Call is produced. Also, another source of truth, we have the Research Minister. They can be found on Facebook. I believe they may be on Instagram as well, but this is our research team that research and verifies and gives us them actual facts. Visit NOI.org to get your actual facts. Then we have the store.finalcall.com where you can go get your CDs, your DVDs, your books, where you know for certain that you are going to know the truth. And that truth that you're going to find out and that you're going to read is going to set you free. And it's reliable information. So we got to make sure we are checking our sources and make sure that the source that we are drinking from, that we're feeding from, it actually has our best interest. So that's key. Another thing they touched on is the nature of the black man and the black woman. Our true nature is God. Our true nature is righteousness. That's what we do by nature. And then in the last sentence, just to lift, he said, by our very nature as black men and women, we can make or become whatever we want to be or become. So when we are acting out of our right nature, which is God, God is going to back us in whatever it is that we want to do, as long as we are submitting to his will. So I'm thankful to know, and I'm thankful to know that because we are those direct descendants of God, we have ability to become God when we are acting in our right nature. And it's just beautiful when you think about the ants, you think about the birds, and you think about the bees. And in studying them, you see that they don't go outside of their nature. They do what God created them to do. So us black men and black women, we have to come back to our true nature, and we got to strive hard to become what God wanted us to become. Because as you know, we under our tutelage of our enemy. So we took on some of his ways. But once we understand and once we know who we are and whose we are and what Allah God wants for us, then we have a responsibility upon ourselves. Because once we know better, we got to do better. So I say to accept your own and be yourself, like the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said. And I thank you all so very much for joining me today. The reading was rather short today, but hey, at least we got some time in. My name is Sister Kamira with Wisdom Over Rubies. Like I said, I'm going to leave you as I came before you in the greeting words of peace of Assalamu Alaikum.